Here.
Dennison Clark.
Here.
Becky Curtis.
Here.
Julie Osmus. Here. Alexander Williams.
Here. Next item is public participation. Individuals addressing the council are asked to step up to the microphone, clearly state their name and address before speaking, and they'll be given 5 minutes.
Mr. Wesley supposed to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you, so sweet. Thank you, Dean.
I never got to get one of these.
I got it on the bus.
That's my one.
All right, that way you can see a little sample of the weekend. I'm BJ Reed, treasurer for the Old School of Cameron and 29-year Cameron resident. I attended this evening to give the City Council an update on Cameron's first inaugural Hot Air Affair. The main coordinator of this event, Denise Maddox, couldn't join us tonight, but I'm happy to stand in her place as faithful sidekick. Before I brief everyone on the happenings, it's more important that a lot of people be properly thanked. Our city police, fire, and EMS teams, joined with surrounding city and county emergency workers, showed incredible support in the planning stages of this event and followed through with strong presence in their attendance and their help. Over 2 days, they successfully assisted us with a checkpoint for over 4,000 people, kept the roads safe, protected a large crowd through landing, refueling, and an hour-long ground glow show involving 19 huge hot air balloons. They assisted with a temporarily missing Mimi of a 4-year-old girl who was finally reunited with her grandma, and kept happy with chips and cookies for a few minutes. And they did absolutely everything to keep me from getting a sunburn, and that was my own fault. May we please take a moment also to applaud Chief Basher, Chief O'Donnell, and any other emergency response workers who worked so hard all weekend. Thank you. Thank you also to the city staff for taking a chance on us and letting us try something we've never done before, and for allowing the use of your municipal airport space. We are thankful that we could host the event there and that Mr. Eric at the airport would work with us. Secondly, the event would not have come to fruit without volunteers. We had close to 75 of them working all weekend long, from checking people on the shuttle bus, to doing checkpoint on a highway, to running the American Family Insurance Car Show with close to 30 car, truck, and motorcycle entries, to running our merch booth, the kids' bouncy house laser tag area, serving as ground crew for the balloon pilots, and working sanitation. One of those volunteers is here this evening, and she not only ran a shift on the shuttle bus, but she also helped me organize the shuttle bus schedule so our volunteers would know where to meet and where to change shifts. Becky Curtis, thank you for your fine support of Old School events and this one in particular. And for all of the volunteering you do for other organizations in this town that you never toot your own horn about. We were also extremely pleased to see Director Tim Limes at the event, who was there to support and encourage, watch our TV interview, and even brought us some trash barrels. Thank you, Director Limes. Over 1,500 man-hours of volunteering went into this event. Third, over 60 corporate and private sponsors, agencies, and non-for-profits donated and sponsored to bring family-friendly entertainment, including the Great American Kite Festival, the Three Trails Taiko drum band, and great concerts on the RE/MAX Partners Big Midwest stage, with the headliner being Women of Rock. How fun it was to see an elderly gentleman turn to me and tell me he was so excited to meet Pat Benatar. I did not tell him that they are a cover band. This was truly a community effort, and many surrounding communities have also joined in sharing their delight at our event. Many of you have seen the photo on social media of a local outdoor wedding with a line of hot air balloons dotting the sky behind them. There was also a wedding at the Hot Air Affair on Saturday as well, and 2 large families who came to celebrate 40th anniversaries and a birthday party. We expect that future years will host many more proposals, weddings, special celebrations, and the Old School of Cameron hopes to make this an annual event that will keep love in the air for many years to come. Thank you for letting us do the thing.
Thank you,
Anyone else? Seeing none, the agenda is a consent agenda.
Motion to approve the minutes of the May 16, 2022 regular session. Item B, motion to renew annual liquor licenses for Rudy's Discount Smoke Shop, original package and Sunday original package, Nell's Country Restaurant and Jones Travel Plaza, original, actually that should say liquor by the drink and Sunday liquor by the drink. Sorry, got the wrong one on there. McCorkle's Eatery and Pub, retail liquor by the drink resort and Sunday by the drink, and Shell Food Mart, original package and Sunday original package licenses.
All in favor of passing the consent agenda, please signify by saying, what? Motion is, Chair will entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor of passing the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is appointments. I, Mayor Roy Estes, do hereby appoint Chris Wilkinson, Crystal Jones, and Robbie Peterson to the Cameron Park Board. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Planning and Zoning Commission. I, Roy Estes, do hereby appoint Debbie Hahn and Stan Hendricks to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have just a couple of items for everybody. The first thing is, I announced that in the city manager's report when I put it out on Friday that we would have the opening of the aquatic center with a soft opening on Friday night and the opening to the general public at 12:45 on Saturday. And now I'm reporting that we in fact did that. It was a great event, and I thank everybody for participating, and I thank the park board and park department for their great work on that. The aquatic center is up and running, and it's a great affair out there, and thank you very much. The second thing I have is the strategic planning retreat. We're confirmed to do that at the Stony Creek in St. Joseph on Wednesday, June 15th. Patty Gentrup, our facilitator, and I will talk again tomorrow to finalize the agenda, and we'll send that out for everyone. Essentially, it will be 9 to 3. And the third thing, which is not on here because we're finalizing that, is the long-awaited groundbreaking for the Great Northwest Wholesale Water Commission will happen this Thursday, and I would like Zach to come up and give you the details on that.
Yeah, Thursday we will have our pre-construction meeting to really kick things off with the contractors and USDA and our engineering staff. We'll follow that with a short commission meeting, and then at 1 o'clock we will journey out to the site at Stewartsville, where we will do the official groundbreaking and stick a shovel in the ground and take some pictures and officially get things underway.
And we'll get a note out to you all, so we can map where that is. And the pre-construction meeting is downstairs from 10 to noon, and then we'll have a quick lunch in here from noon to 12:30, and then out to Stewartsville for 1 o'clock briefing. But I'll at 1 o'clock groundbreaking, but we'll give you a note on that so you'll see the map and schedule. Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have, unless the council has some other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business. We have a second and final reading on Bill 2022-19.
Bill 2022-19, an ordinance of the City of Cameron, Missouri, creating sections in the City of Cameron Code to allow for supplementary cemetery markers and private columbariums.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-19.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Julie Osmus.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the second and final reading of Bill 2022-20.
Bill 2022-20, an ordinance for the city of Cameron, Missouri, authorizing a change in zoning district classification for Weston Estates Phase 2 from R2 two-family residential to R1 single-family residential.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-20.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none? We will now vote by roll call.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
Dennison Clark.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the second and final reading of Bill 2022-21.
Bill 2022-21, an ordinance for the city of Cameron, Missouri, authorizing a change in zoning district classification for East Grand Estates from R2 two-family residential to R1 single-family residential.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-21.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Anyone have any questions on this? We will now vote by roll call.
Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
Dennison Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Next item is new business. We have a first reading of Bill 2022-22.
Bill 2022-22, an ordinance of the city of Cameron, Missouri, approving a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the city of Cameron Police Department, Cameron R1 School District, Caldwell County Sheriff's Office, Clinton County Sheriff's Office, Davies County Sheriff's Office, and DeKalb County Sheriff's Office regarding law enforcement services.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-22 on the first reading.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Mayor, Council, tonight I have Dr. Roy Mefford here with the school district to talk to us about this memorandum of understanding. They've made contact with our school and they're trying to hire a new police officer, and they'll have their own police department within their school district. With that, this understanding will have some agreements with the Cameron Police Department along with the school district on certain cases that they may ask for assistance to help their police officer, and they'll have Ms. Mefford to say any other further things about that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. The memorandum of understanding, this state statute has been on the books for quite some time. Very few school districts in the state of Missouri have actually created their own police department and hired their own police officers. If we are allowed to do this, we would be the 5th school district in the state of Missouri that is doing hiring their school resource officers in this manner. Blue Springs actually hires their own police officers and has their own police department. They have 13 officers. Dublin School District has 1. Willard School District employs 3 police officers, and then City of Springfield is the most recent school district that has moved to this type of hiring for school resource officers. And they actually, in February of this year, hired 26 police officers. As Chief Asher mentioned, this would be a memorandum of understanding. If allowed to do this, our school police officer would be authorized to file charges against any person of a crime occurring on school grounds. If it occurred off-site, it would still revert back to the Cameron Police Department. It would, in essence, be the same way that we've been doing this. In past, we had Officer Scott Meyer. He was our school resource officer, and he retired in December. And so when he retired, we looked at some options before we used the Cameron Police Department and contracted with them for an SRO. Very pleased with that, very happy with that. But as we started to hear about schools, the Board of Education commissioning their own, we thought that it was worthwhile to look into that. And so when we looked into it, there's some pros and cons to it. We see Having the authority to hire our own police officer and commission him or her, and having our own police department is beneficial because we will be able to regulate their schedule. So we will be able to tell them, you know, what events we would like for them to be at. And then also a piece that we sometimes miss is having someone dedicated to doing building walkthroughs daily, to look for points of weakness as far as safety is concerned, to take control of our active shooter trainings. Officer Meyer did a great job with that, but we kind of co-led that as the safety coordinator, so we would like to have someone designated for that. The memorandum is also being signed by all the county sheriff's departments, so all four, Davies, DeKalb, Caldwell, and Clinton County, and they've signed off on that, and they're in agreement with that as well. Again, I do not look for there to be a huge difference in the way things were handled when Officer Meyer was our school resource officer. The only difference is we will not have to call Cameron Police Department to handle some of those minor things where in the past we had to had to call them to come out and take those reports. If allowed to do this, the person that we hire will, they will file all of the reports to the prosecuting attorney, and all the charges will be run through them, as long as it is not one of those major offenses. We will still fall back on Cameron PD to handle all of those investigations. So, do you have any questions for me?
Also, the school officer will have a radio, and it will have our channel in it. They will have direct line communications with our dispatch center, so if there is an issue that happens at the school, all he has to do is call the Cameron Police Department. We'll have other officers responding down there to assist that, so we want to continue that with we did.
Absolutely, absolutely. Officer Myers, that was the, yes, relationship. We had a solid, great relationship, and I think we'll continue to have a great relationship with the Cameron PD. We will communicate the same way as we have in the past, use them for the same things. We've already scheduled and worked together to plan our fall. Unfortunately, we have to do those active shooter trainings, and so we've already scheduled that. So we'll continue to work together in that capacity, so.
So the other schools that you talk to that do this, since there's only 5, or will be the 5th, is that what you said?
We would be the 5th.
Well, there's 4. So, and I know you contacted some, kind of tell me a little bit of how it's worked for them.
Most of them have witnessed success, and as I mentioned, they range anywhere from Springfield having 26 police officers to Dublin having 1. They have found success in it just because they can cater the position to fit their school district needs. If they have a special event coming up, they still work cooperatively with the local police departments, but they can kind of regulate and create the plan for that event through the building, through the school. The police officers fall underneath the district and the board policies and the employee guidelines, so that's also a benefit for them. So not only are they familiar with board policy and discipline issues, they are also familiar with law enforcement. The school district will outfit the police officer in police attire. They will have a uniform. They will not have a patrol car. They will use a school car. We will not be doing any code enforcement of any traffic violations. They will only be taking care of things that happen there on school grounds. So,
How many do you plan on having?
initially, we will start with 1. That's what we have with Officer Meyer, and so it's not out of the question to add more. Right now, the school is focusing on hiring some social workers. We feel like there's a great need to hire social workers. There's also a need to hire school resource officers, as everyone knows. So, but it's not out of the question to add to the number of officers. But for now, we'd like to just replace Officer Meyer with 1.
You said there were pros and cons. Could you go over like a handful of the cons?
The cons, well, like I said, The cons would be if a situation happens and he or she is not available. At that situation, we would still have to call in the police department, or if it happened out in the county, we would have to call in one of the sheriff's departments. Really, as far as other cons, there's one person in charge of the law enforcement for the district. The expectation would be for them to handle all of those, like I said, from report writing to turning it over to the prosecuting attorney, all of that would fall on his or her shoulders. So it's a large job, where the police department has additional resources. I mean, Chief Basher and his department have always been really good about helping out in any way, so, and I assume they still would, but the majority of that would fall or start with the police officer that we hire.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I would like to say, thank you. I appreciate the fact that the district is being proactive, that they're looking at trying some new things, they're bringing in social workers. All you have to do is listen to the news or pick up an article and see what's going on. So I as a patron of the district and a parent, I really appreciate the proactive way you guys are addressing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this position is completely funded by the district, correct?
Absolutely, 100%. That would be another con, I guess, you know, Mr. Williams. But, well, yeah, before we work with the police department, yes, no, it would be fully funded. And then the school provides all the training. This person will have to maintain their post certification and keep up on all the training. And so that would be, I guess, another point that we can cater their training for school situations. I know that Chief Basher and his department, they do receive information on specifically school-related issues, but this person, that would be the main focus, and like I said, the school safety aspect.
Will this officer be able to participate in the police department's training exercises for some of their training?
Yeah, we'll be inviting them. With our officers, the police department, we go to the shooting range 2 times a year. One of those times afterwards is where we actually work on school setting. The officers are going in and practicing that team aspect of searching a school and everything. So yeah, we'll be having communications with the school district. If we see any type of training that's coming up, we did that with Officer Meyer after we did last year's school exercise that we all worked together. There was a training in Iowa. I sent it off to Mr. Meyer. He got a hold of the school district and they shipped him up to the schooling. So yeah, we'll keep that line of communication going on and working together like we always have.
All right. Can't think of it.
Thank you.
All in favor of passing Bill 2022-22 on first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is the full reading of Bill 2022-23.
Bill 2022-23, an ordinance authorizing the city manager of the city of Cameron, Missouri to enter into an agreement with David E. Ross Construction Company to complete the wastewater treatment plant disinfection improvements.
All in favor of passing Bill 2022-23 on a first reading, please signify by saying aye. Oh, we gotta do discussion. Sorry.
You don't have to, that's fine. You'll
Yeah. Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-23.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What you have before you is a ordinance authorizing the city to enter into agreement with Ross Construction for construction for our wastewater treatment plant improvements. We did put the project out to bid here last month, and there were several bids, several good qualifying bids, but again, Ross Construction was the low bidder. We had estimated construction costs around the 2.6, almost 2.7 million, and Ross Construction came in at just under 2.5. So our overall total project cost is going to be down a little bit, and we'll talk just a minute about financing with these fine gentlemen sitting over here next. But again, this ordinance will just allow the city manager to sign the contracts and award the contract to Ross Construction.
Question?
Okay, so in this
it talks about, that we had, a 2014 series of wastewater treatment, correct? And we bonded for that, correct?
Yes.
And then we also did it again in 2016.
Correct.
And each time was around 2 to 3 million, is that right?
2014, that was the AMI system and part of the water plant improvement, and the sewer portion of that was 1.2 million, and then the 2016 was 3.4 million.
Okay, so this is something that we have to do, so that
Correct.
we're not destroying our environment.
Correct.
So, how much do we have left on those two?
What we have, I think we have roughly about 1.1 million on the 2014 and about 3.2 million on the 2016.
Okay.
And what was the period of time that those were for? How many years?
The 2014, the final payment will be in 2029, and the final payment on the 16th will be 2035.
Okay. And these are set up for how long, did you say? 29 years?
The current,
Yes.
what we're proposing is out to 2046, so 20.
29. I just wanted to make a note that we are continuing, the city incurs debt just to keep everything going.
Just to keep things
And
up.
when do you think, is this gonna happen every 4 years? I think I already asked you that once before.
I don't know. I mean, when we, with our last permit cycle, we knew this one was coming. We knew that they were gonna require us to do the disinfection on this one. So we knew this was coming. And like I said before, we were able to take some advantages with our last construction project to kind of set it up for when this happened. So this will just kind of be a plug and play with the new one. I don't know coming down line, Keith, anything that you're aware of in the future that might be?
Not at this time.
I mean, there's nothing, there's no hot topic out there right now that we know is coming. I'm sure the next permit cycle that there'll be additional requirements, but, and again, we've had some issues with our headworks and things, so we knew this was, we weren't gonna be able to meet the increased standards, but, you know, after this, we should be in pretty good shape.
Depending something else happens.
Correct.
Or is it invented?
Correct.
So this is a government mandate, basically, correct?
Yes.
And when do we talk about the increased costs for each citizen? Will it be in the next bill or on this one?
That will be in the next, coming soon.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions, comments?
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-23 on first reading. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and pass Bill 2022-23 for a full reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Just the clarification for the second reading is just so that we can get the contractor started, and as we know with everything, there's long lead times on equipment. Again, we are under a deadline with our new permits, so, again, we just want to get them going as quickly as possible. We anticipate substantial completion sometime March, April of next year.
We did go through the bidding out process.
Yeah, and we actually did a couple different things, a little different things this year. Again, we actually kind of bid out individual pieces of the project in an effort to not only keep costs lower, but also provide some additional lead time on some of that equipment. We could go ahead and we bid out some of the equipment early. We've got that order, it's on its way. It's still 6 months out, but it's better than starting now and 6 months out from today.
Thank you very much. Anyone have anything else?
Ready?
Yep.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, we have a first reading of Bill 2022-24.
Bill 2022-24, an ordinance authorizing the city of Cameron, Missouri to enter into a lease purchase transaction to pay costs of sewer system improvements and approving the execution of certain documents in connection therewith.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2022-24 on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
So now that we've awarded the contract to Ross Construction, we'll now need money to actually pay them. So we have D.A. Davidson here, we've got Jonathan Benson and Charlie Zitnick here, so they'll be able to answer any questions regarding the issuing of the certificates.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, everyone. Please excuse my voice. I decided to yell for a sporting event this past weekend and have since lost it. Long story short, we are approving a resolution that allows the city manager to sign documents related to this transaction after we move forward and sell bonds to the market. As a quick little update on that market, I brought numbers along the last time I was here. It looks like rates have improved quite a bit, at least as they look right now. I think we're about 25 bips, so 0.25% better than what we were looking at last time. I don't have numbers in front of you today, just because it's something that we will end up presenting on later on down the line as well. But what we need to know is rates have improved since the last time we talked. The other part to this is bids came in quite a bit better than expected. So I think you may remember last time we discussed a little taxable portion of this issuance. That was going to be a second transaction that the city would enter into. Because of how bids came in, we've been able to eliminate that transaction. So we will only be issuing tax-exempt debt at this time, and that is to the tune of $3.73 million, which is up to the bank qualification status, so still allowing us to have that extra little bit of bank qualification. So with that said, I'll answer any questions if you have them.
We've had you guys here quite a bit this last year. We kind of know how it goes.
Yep.
Okay, well, in answer to the mayor's good question, how much more will this cost each citizen, and when will they begin to pay it? When will we have to have a rate increase?
We'll definitely want to start looking at a rate increase here soon.
Okay, maybe with the next budget year. You want to,
If not before.
you want to hazard a guess as to how much this will be?
Well, so at least I'm sorry.
No, that, it might have to happen before the next fiscal year.
Yes.
So what I can say is debt service wise, we've structured this around the 2014 and 2016 issues that we discussed earlier. Through the term of the 2016s, which is 2035, the city will be paying an additional $145,000, which is interest only. So at that point, it will switch over, and all of the city's currently outstanding debt will have been paid off, and this will be wrapped around that to essentially then start paying off, ending in 2046. At that point, in 2036 through 46, the city will be paying $430,000 a year. That is less than it's currently paying at approximately $700,000 to $830,000 a year. And like I said, that rolls off in 2035.
But you can do the math on that pretty easily to determine what that might be in terms of a rate increase, can't you?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yes. Okay, and then perhaps we can bring that back and answer to the council the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
Have any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. All in favor of passing Bill 2022-24 on the first reading, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. 5
Resolution 2022-25, a resolution for the city of Cameron, Missouri to enter into a marketing agreement with Service Line Warranties of America.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2022-25.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this resolution here will authorize the city to enter into a marketing agreement with the National League of Cities for their service line warranty programs, actually with Service Line Warranties of America. But again, it will allow them to use our logo on their mailings, and again offer the service line programs to our customers. In the beginning, they'll be offering 3 plans: an external water service line plan for $675 a month, an external sewer line plan for $775 a month, and then an interior plumbing and draining plans for $999 a month. And this will be a 3-year contract.
And is this an opt-in?
Yes.
No, an opt-out?
Yep. They will, like I said, they will do all the mailing, the advertising, and everything will be through them. They're just using our logo.
Is there any, first of all, it's taken us 2 years to get to this, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so we as a city council have worked really hard on this situation. And we end up starting with this and ending with this. So we deliberated quite intensely over this. So what is gonna happen? Are we as a city gonna be, aware when a service line under this management team has a breakage, so that we know whether or not that's really long, it's gonna get fixed, or maybe we can encourage them to go directly to the closest rather than down around the corner?
We'll still be notified the same way we're notified now through a locate ticket for an excavation. So that's a bit, but we won't necessarily be notified by service line warranty.
Well, I knew not them, I knew they couldn't, they have a job.
We'll still be notified through the locate.
Okay, all right, that's what I just want to know, 'cause that way you'll have an idea of how many are really being,
Correct.
right.
And I'm sure they will provide us information with some of that data after they're up and going for a year or so.
And then we will also continue to try and correct as many of those as we can,
Yes, that's
as
important.
the time and money allows.
Anyone have anything else? Thank you very much. All in favor of passing resolution 2022-25, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. I'm in favor, 0 opposed. Next item is resolution 2022-26.
Resolution 2022-26, a resolution for the city of Cameron, Missouri, approving a new city of Cameron employee handbook for the employees of the city of Cameron.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2022-26.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
We did have a personnel committee on May 24th, and they went over the highlights of the changes in the employee handbook. We did use a new software to create the handbook, so the wording is all a little bit different, but there's not a lot of major changes. It's just been reworded, clarified in some cases. There were some changes that took place after the personnel committee meeting. Our insurance provider, Myrna, had us make some additional, add some additional language to the guideline after it was looked at. And you've all had a copy of it, so I'm just gonna kind of go over the highlights of the major changes and what Myrna had asked us to do. Probably the biggest one is the addition of a new holiday for the employees of Juneteenth, which if adopted will take effect this month. Juneteenth is on a Sunday, so the city's holiday would be Monday, June 20th, which would be a council meeting, which also means that that council meeting would be moved to Tuesday, June 21st. That's the biggest change right off the bat, is that it will have effect this month. We did add a couple sentences in section 2-5, the timekeeping procedures. All of the changes that were in here in Rooney are moment additions. Nothing is major, just some wording, things that they wanted to make sure wasn't included. We did detail in the overtime section the different types of overtime and compensation that we have. We do get some questions from that, so we made sure we clarified that and it was more clearly explained in this manual. We added some wording in the immigration compliance section at the request of MIRMA. We did change residency requirements for some of the directors and emergency services to a 40-mile radius. That was a change. I believe it was 60 miles before. We did add a change to the grievance and discipline policy at the request of Merman. There were some new state statutes last year regarding police officers. So we did add a section for any grievance or complaint against a police officer. The wording says that the police department's policy and procedure manual will take precedence over what's in here because state statute dictates that. We did clarify the police and water plant employees get a pay differential because they do not get the holidays. They do earn more vacation, and they also get paid out each paycheck because there still is a deficit for the time that regular employees get off as opposed to them for not getting our holidays. And they're having questions over the years on how we calculate that. It's spelled out here, so hopefully everybody can see where we come out with those numbers. We did add a temporary transitional duty policy. We had one before that we adopted Murma's exact language, and that is included in the appendix. We have a whole appendix section for safety policies and another appendix section for administrative policies that employees, when they need to see those, sometimes they can find their employee guideline, they can't always find the policies, so we just included all in one document so that they can find everything easily when they need to. The other major changes are in the appendixes. We did add some additional policies. We added in the safety policies, loss control policy was just as an umbrella policy covering all of loss control. We had not included before Merman had us add that. Sorry. We also added a victims of domestic and sexual violence policy. This is a new requirement that requires not only posting on the employee notice boards, but we also included a policy in the appendix on that. I think I talked to Patrick earlier, it's basically still covered under FMLA, but it is a little bit more detailed for those situations. There was one more policy. Oh, the temporary transitional duty policy was also added in the administrative appendix. Those were the highlights. Did you guys have any questions about anything that was in the handbook?
So, the handbook that this is replacing, when was that put together, you said?
The previous handbook was in 2014, I believe. Is that right?
It was like 2004.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2004, yes. It was a long time ago. It was coming up on 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And we do have this new software, so instead of waiting 4 or 5 years and doing a massive reboot on the handbook again, I would like the software that we have gives us notifications when there are changes either in case law or in best practices, and it notifies us to review the policies if we want to make any changes. I would like to make this a dynamic document so that when we do have little changes here and there, maybe add a policy in the appendix or change something, that we will just amend this handbook, and that will come to you in the form of a resolution that details the changes, and we'll just have that in the consent agenda as housekeeping, if that's okay with you guys, unless it's something big. If it's something big and major, we'll go ahead and have a committee meeting, just minor things. That way it can be a relevant document work so hard.
Yes.
Next time. Yeah, we'll make little changes along the way instead of big changes all at once.
I know this was quite an undertaking, so.
Yes.
Anyone have anything else? Thank you, Shelby. And committee? All in favor of passing resolution 2022-26, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Next on the agenda, we have our second public participation. Seeing none. Miscellaneous comments from the staff.
I'll just like to say that I was very impressed and grateful that the Historical Preservation Society pulled off a big event this weekend. Big kudos to city staff, the fire chief, fire department, all the other volunteers that helped with the event. You know, I was out in the crowd mingling with people just to hear, you know, talking to people and asking them how did they hear about the event. You know, I talked to people from, you know, St. Joseph, Kansas City. You know, I think there was people from Iowa there. I ran into
Wisconsin.
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Ran into one of the hotel owners yesterday at Walmart. He said business was extremely good. So I think the hotels, 2 of the hotels sold out.
Oh, I think 4 of them sold out.
Yeah. So it was a great economic boom for Cameron this weekend. Also a great opportunity to showcase what Cameronites can do to pull an event like this off. You know, and that I said I just give them kudos for doing it, and you know they basically took the lead and showed us how it was done. And also I want to introduce our new city deputy inspector, Brian Gilbert, right here. You want to stand up for a second?
Yeah, you can't hide
Yeah.
anymore.
He's our new deputy city inspector. You know, we had recently hired 2 other employees that had to move on to bigger and better things. You can't fault him for wanting to do that. Very excited to have Brian on board. He has a construction background. I believe he worked with Lucas Tomp in the construction industry, so he knows a lot of the language and the understanding of how construction and you know how all of it comes together. So welcome him to camp.
And council asked for his full name, Brian.
Gilbreath.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I got one more announcement while I'm standing. June 25th will be the citywide cleanup. We don't have all the details as far as the hours of operation, but we did that last year. Becky was a part of it, Steve was a part of it.
We've done it for 2 years.
2 years. That just allows the community to get all unwanted products and trash and debris out of their property, bring it to the citywide clean up for free and get rid of that stuff. R&W's been a big part of that, you know, supplying us with containers. It's a fun event, so keep that on your calendar, June 25th. We'll have all the details, hours of operation. Tad Wilson's gonna be a part of it too, our interim city public works director. So if you got any questions, you can reach out to Tad. Thank you.
Steve, did you have anything else?
I have nothing further, thank you.
Chief?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ted?
No, sir.
Counselor?
Nothing.
Michelle?
Just want to reiterate that our next meeting will be on Tuesday, June 21st, due to the Juneteenth holiday on Monday, June 20th. Also, next week, on the 15th is our strategic planning retreat. The day before that evening is the Northwest MML meeting in Brookfield. Any council members that would like to attend that, I'd be glad to sign you up. It's the night before in Brookfield. I just didn't think you guys gonna want to drive that far. They're gonna talk about legislative updates and all that. Myself, Carmen, and Zach will be attending, so we can bring the information back and make sure.
And we will only have one meeting in July.
Oh, yes, the July 5th meeting has been canceled. Or July 4th, it was gonna be then July 5th, and you guys voted it off. Agreed to that, so. Go on holiday, put something on.
Next item is miscellaneous comments from council. Ms. Chris?
Well, first of all, we need volunteers, some volunteers for the trash pickup, mostly because people are very grateful to be able to bring their trash, but a lot of them are elderly, and so I'm dragging people out, the guys out of their cars to help these people unload their stuff. So we have some strapping young men that like to help out a little bit for a couple hours, don't you agree? And then of course, I wanna say about the Historical Society, are basically the backbone of them. They're fearless and they dream big. And we haven't seen that very often. And not only that, but they know that there is a volunteer base in this town. There really is. And once you start volunteering, you can't stop. That's pretty much all.
Well, first, thank you to all the volunteers and everybody associated with the Balloon Festival. Another big success. I want to say congratulations to the park board. Went through the pool. It's an unusual thing because it's considerably more impressive. It's impressive from the street, but when you walk inside, it's even more impressive. Maybe that's a good way to language it. They did a terrific job. Also, welcome to the staff, Brian Gilbert. Thank you. We're glad you're here. And have lots of opportunities for personal development. That's it.
Thanks. Julie?
I just wanted to say that I'm very impressed with what the Historical Preservation Society did. It's things like this that Cameron needs for our economic development, and I know that you guys put in a lot of hard work, and volunteers put in a lot of hard work. And I know I appreciate it, and I know everybody on the council appreciates it, and I know that everybody in camera appreciates it, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of shocking, but I'm going to talk about the hot air affair. I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately, but I was at the wedding on Friday night.
Yes.
Monica and Zeke, they had a beautiful wedding. The pictures you see online, they don't do it justice. Just a great thing that you guys have done for this town. Thank you.
Good.
That's it.
First of all, I had the honor of speaking at the Memorial Day event at the Veterans Memorial. Thank you guys very much. It was an honor and a pleasure. More personal, anything else? Happy 57th anniversary to my mother and father-in-law this weekend. We got to celebrate that on Saturday. And I got to watch my grandbaby all weekend. It's easier now than it was raising my own. And thank you guys again for the hot air affair. It was a wonder. I've seen more pictures online. That and the rainbows last weekend took over Facebook, and that's a wonderful thing to have. That's all I got. Thank you again. Next item. No executive session tonight. Yay. I need a motion to adjourn.